change the seasons. And so we come in and we say, it is our time. And I'm telling you, when you embrace this was so heavy on my heart all week in a good way. I was just waking up in the middle of the night shouting, it's my time. It's my season. I've been praying over you guys. It's your time. It's your season. I mean, we've been fighting too long. We've been arguing too much. We've been hoping and praying too long. Now it's time to receive it by faith. Call things that be not as though they were. That's faith. Faith is positive. Faith is positive. And so it's my time. It's my season for grace, for favor. It's my season for divine connections. It's my season for open doors. It's my season for wisdom and more wisdom, for insights, concepts, and ideas, witty inventions. It's my season to speak to the root issue of things and begin to call that dead in the name of Jesus and speak life into things. It's my season to lay hands on the sick and see them recover. It's my season to give money away and more and more and more to be a blessing. It's my time. It's my time. It is. It's time. It's time. It's time. Inside of you is Christ. Not a part of him, not a triplet, but all of him on the inside of you. And God loves you so much that he hid him on the inside of you, and he wants to manifest himself from the inside of you to this world. He could have used an angel, but he chose you. Well, good evening, everyone, everywhere. So glad you can join me tonight. My name is DaVon Alexander. I have the distinct honor of pastoring True Life Fellowship Church right here in Matthews, North Carolina. And I'm so excited about tonight's midweek boost, the True Life Experience. Got a special treat for you tonight. So right away, I want you to know that you can make your comments here. Anytime we're talking, you can comment, and we might show them on the screen so we can see your comments. So I want you to engage and get involved as well. And I want you to click like, comment, and share. Share this broadcast right now. Click the share button, and let's get this from the top of the world to the bottom and all the way around. That's how much influence you have. When you click the share button, you really are able to reach your sphere of influence. Want to welcome everyone from Florida as well that is watching tonight. But without further ado, I am really, really excited. I have a pastor friend of mine, one of my closest friends. We went to Bible school together. He and his wife are excellent leaders. They pastor a great church. I'm just going to bring him on. I got Kevin Wright with us on right now. And Kevin, how you doing tonight?
Man, I'm good. I love your introduction, man. Boy, you can preach, boy. I'm telling you.
Oh, you're too kind. You're too kind, my friend. But Kevin and I go way back. We went to Bible school together back in the late 90s, huh? And then we've remained in touch ever since. And so he's in Florida right now. He and his wife got a beautiful church out there in Florida, got a ministry going that's doing a great work and a great job. So I asked Kevin to join me tonight because Kevin has a testimony that I believe you need to hear, and it's going to change your life forever. We're going to talk tonight about how to navigate a fast-paced life. And you and I both are living a fast-paced life. Things are happening. Things are moving. You wake up and you feel like you're already behind the eight ball, things are moving. You got your phones in your hand. You're getting information sent to you quickly. I mean, we are truly living a fast-paced life. And Kevin, talk a little bit about a fast-paced life. Let me hear what's going on in your world where a fast-paced life is concerned.
You know, I mean, you think about 2020, bro. I mean, 2020 was just one of those years, man, that the whole world will never forget. I think everybody was very dealing and fighting stress and fighting so many of their thoughts. And for me personally, brother, I'm telling you, my 2020 was tough. Of course, my 2021, my dad passed away in August, so that was tough. But this time last year, I probably was going through one of the toughest seasons of my life where I found myself in just constantly working. I work away from my church as I'm a full-time pastor, but I have a property management company where I'm out taking care of properties. And this time last year, we moved in with my parents, and I was thinking maybe I am Superman. Maybe I am Superman. I was going night and day, working night and day, and I wrote in my notes, I was running as fast as I could. There was no pace, and I learned last year, right off the get, is that we can't run that fast. You can't, life is not a 100-yard dash. It's a long distance race. And I was running a 100-yard dash 100% of the time. Yeah, I took time to do this. I had little bitty, moments of rest, just to make a long story short, you knew about this, but I ran, and some of my own church members don't even know this, but I pretty much ended up having a breakdown. I had a mental breakdown. I woke up one day. I couldn't breathe. I'll never forget when I woke up, I was like, oh, maybe I was remodeling my mom's bathroom. Maybe I, breathed in some kind of,
Chemical.
wasn't healthy, some kind of chemical, and went to the doctor. They started treating me as though it was a chemical, and not realizing that, that I was having a pretty much a chemical imbalance. I was having a pretty much a nervous breakdown, didn't even know it. And so I was getting steroids, antibiotics thrown at me, and didn't even know that what I was dealing with was my body went into a full blown fight or flight mode where, just like, have you ever, like if you ever wanted to save someone out of a car, a car accident, and your body gets into this fight or flight mode where you go and rescue someone. Well, my adrenaline was 100% of the time. I couldn't sleep. And I wasn't depressed, but I was depressed. I wasn't like going through a depression where I was like, I'm sad. I was more depressed about what was going on with me. And now I'm dealing with like what's going on with me. I didn't know what was going on with me. I was having people pray for me, and finally I went to the doctor, and the doctor had told me, and that, Kevin, this is a anxiety attack. I was having one constant anxiety attacks after the other, and I kind of got into this. I knew the Lord had warned me many a times about how fast I was going and how much work I was taking on, DaVon, Pastor, is that I was taking on everything. And I was doing everything, it seemed like, for everybody. And I got really, caught in a situation where I couldn't do anything about it in the natural. I tried to pray, and not to say that God didn't help me. He did help me. But it wasn't coming fast enough for me. The prayers that I was praying, my body wasn't changing. I was in, like I said, full adrenaline. I was waking up in the morning and just shaking. It was a horrible experience, man. Um, if anything, I know what people feel like, Pastor DaVon, when someone, I would have took anything at that time pretty much in my mind. If it would have made me better, I would have probably taken it, because I could not get rest in my mind. My body was in constant overload. I would run around my neighborhood trying to outrun the adrenaline, and I couldn't do it. And so it was the most horrible experience of my life. So I went to the doctor. The doctor, and maybe we could talk about this, because, you know, we're the doctor prescribed me an antidepressant. And at first I let it sit in my house for 2 weeks straight. And I couldn't believe, how could I even and be at this place where a doctor would prescribe me an antidepressant. Um, and then finally, after 2 weeks of the medicine being here, God gave me 3 confirmations of taking this medication. And I took it by faith. And then once I took it, I started feeling much better. And then that's where I began to ask God where I missed it. Because, God never wanted me in that situation. I knew that I was running so hard, that I was going against so many things that He never taught me to be that way. And I ended up on this antidepressant, and I've been on it for almost a year, and I'm about to come off of it in November. But my body is stabilized now, But that was the result of not resting. That was a result of not taking time with God. That was a result of just letting God have some things. During 2020, as well as I do, there were so many things happening all at once in my life. Moving in with my parents, pastoring a church where people weren't coming anymore, and then people weren't coming back. People stopped giving. It was so much happening, one thing after the other. As well as I do what that felt like. And in the midst of working another job away from the church, in the midst of being a dad and a husband, and I was not balanced. There was no balance. I only knew one direction, and it was go fast, get it done. And that's when the Holy Spirit began to reveal to me some of the places I missed it. I wasn't taking time to rest. I wasn't balanced. I wasn't taking time for me. I wasn't doing jujitsu very much. I wasn't surfing very much. I wasn't spending much time with my friends. I wasn't making time for anyone. It was all about everybody else. There was nothing about me.
Yeah, I think as well. Thank you, first of all, for sharing that. And it looks like your mom said, and taking care of your parents. That's mom right there.
They were never part of my stress, man.
No.
And they better not think that they were,
No, no, mom, you were not part of that stress. But I think it's important for us to realize here you are, pastor, husband, father, leader, business. You got a lot going on. You're full of the word. I know that about you. And you know how to apply the word. You walk in faith, but your body was attacked. And I think people need to realize this, that humanity, you and I, are 3-part beings. We are a spirit, which is the part of us that was created in the image of God. It's going to live and abide forever, whether in this earth or outside of this earth. Our spirit's going to live forever. We have a soul, which is our mind, will, emotions, our thinker, chooser, feeler. That's our soulish realms. But we also live in a body. We have a body that we live in. And the enemy will attack us, will try to attack us in each of those areas. He'll try to attack us in our spirit. He can't touch our spirit, though, because we've been created new. He'll try to attack our souls. But in your case, he attacked your body. And he went after your body. And like you said, because you weren't applying rest and other things we'll talk about later on that can help you stabilize and help you become the healthy spirit, soul, body that you're supposed to be. But I need people to understand the enemy will attack your body, and it doesn't have anything to do with your faith necessarily. It's just simply he is attacking your body. And I want to address too the medicine, because some people believe, well, if you take medicine, you don't have faith. I think that's phony baloney. I hate that kind of teaching. You better use faith when taking any kind of medication, and
Mhm.
you better do what God's telling you to do. If he's telling you to take it, take it. Now, if he says don't take it, that's another story. But if he's saying do it, you better do it, because healing can come through medicine as well as it can come straight from heaven. So God has various ways to bring healing to your body. But let's talk a little bit, Kevin, about when you went to the doctor, and the doctor was prescribing things. You begin to take things, but were there some other things that you started to do that caused yourself to kind of get back in line with your body, to get in line with your spirit?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I need to align my words, align my words up to where I want to go, because I remember right before this happened, I said something out my mouth, man. I'm sure the viewers, I mean, we're not perfect, man. I'm not a perfect pastor. And I remember one day just saying I felt like I was going to have a nervous breakdown. And that was the day I really
Mm,
believe Satan just came in and grabbed those words and said, "You're witch
mm,
like a man." But
mm.
basically, I said those things because I was really living, I was heading that direction by my lifestyle. And what I did shift is immediately I changed my words. I immediately shifted to, I got off, let's talk about natural things. Back then, I got off anything caffeinated, coffee. Um, I'm able to drink coffee again, but back then I was drinking coffee, caffeine just to get through the entire day. And I ran my body. I was just running off caffeine. And so, to stabilize, I had to start making sure my diet was right. I started doing things for me. I started saying no to people. DaVon, I remember sitting out there on my back porch. That's where I felt like the room was closing in. I couldn't even be in a bedroom. This is how serious this was.
Wow.
I could barely be in a closed in room. I would sleep for hours out on the back porch.
Wow.
And I just remember that I was trying to breathe. I was listening to the word. I got a hold of a lot of Charles Capps stuff. And I just was listening to Charles Capps. I was going through his confessions, and my mind was saying, every time I'd say a confession out my mouth, my body and everything was saying, you're not going to get healed. This is going to be you for the rest of your life. But you asked me what things did I change? I changed a lot about my diet, my time, saying no to people. I remember I had a paint project. I was so out of balance. I remember that even painting a small paint job was like climbing Mount Everest to me in my thinking.
Wow.
And I remember going, man, if I go paint that house, I need a paintbrush. This is how much my body is just, it was, I was not in a good place. So when I started saying no to people, I started getting my breath back. I remember I started the medication. I remember my first time, in those first days, I couldn't even yawn. Imagine tonight when you want to go to bed and you'll yawn. Even when someone says yawn, it makes you want to yawn. I could not yawn. My body could not yawn. I couldn't go, oh, I couldn't do
Wow.
it.
Wow.
And so to shift and change everything, I got on the medicine. I started praying over myself. I started saying no to people. My wife got involved in this big time and started guarding my schedule. We just said, hey, we're going to I got to get back on track here. And the only way to get back on track is I can't do everything for everybody. I ended up taking a month sabbatical off of church, off of everything. And that was one of the big factors where I didn't give my mind permission to make all these decisions. And I remember going, how am I going to take a month off? And then I was thinking, Well, if I don't get rest, I'm not going to be able, I'm not going to be good for no one. I won't be a good husband. I won't be a good employee. I won't be a good pastor. If I don't do something about this, I'm not going to be good for anyone. So I went on a sabbatical. Terry and I, we just took, that whole month off, no preaching. My friend Pastor Jamie McElwain came and preached all our meetings, and I made some solid choices that I'm when it's time to be off, it's off.
Yeah.
When it's
You know,
time, it's done.
I think what's important too, what you're saying, you said you learned how to say no and you had to say no. And I think a lot of times we don't want to say no because we don't want to hurt someone's feelings or we don't want to offend someone. But when we realize that the priority of our time is the most important thing, um, we can, once we allocate our time and prioritize our time, we that begs to have to say no to some things when your time has already been spoken for. And I want to encourage people that are listening now. You can say no without hurting someone's feelings. It's possible to say no without hurting their feelings or someone being offended. And if their feelings do hurt and get offended, they're going to have to get over it because you're going to have to prioritize your time, your minutes, because a wasted time is a wasted life. And like you're saying, your time wasn't prioritized, and you had a breakdown. You literally had a mental and physical breakdown. So I think it's important. Number one, Kevin talked about resting. He's talking about a sabbatical, taking a break, allow yourself to recover, to recharge, to be strengthened. I think number two, learn how to say no. Learn how to turn some things down and say no with it when and you're gonna just have to start with your own body. Like, listen, no Twinkies tonight. If you can't tell yourself no, you're not gonna be able to tell anybody else no. No Twinkies tonight. No ice cream tonight. Learn how to tell yourself no, and then you'll be comfortable telling other people no as well. But is there any other things, Kevin, that you learned through this breakdown?
Well, I did a lot of funerals as pastor.
Mm,
If you think of, going back in the archive of my years of ministry, there was no sabbatical savings account for me back those times. I would encourage all pastors, all churches to have a sabbatical savings account for their pastor, because you're looking at years and years and years and years of ministry. I think this is 25 years I've been in ministry, coming up on, I don't know, maybe 27, no, 27 years.
wow.
I think this is
Wow.
27th year of ministry. Well, think, from, doing little baby funerals, uh,
Mm,
a kid that got killed on a four wheeler, suicides, from youth ministry to everything that we hear, that we see. And I think the next thing I did is I got a counselor for me. I got someone that can talk to me, someone I can run my thoughts by, because all those years, man, I didn't have hardly anyone that could pour into me. And Terry and I hired I know this is people are going to really think this is crazy, but something that I think you said, what else did we do? We hired a life coach.
yeah.
We
Hmm.
have someone, we're going to be meeting with her this week, Pastor Darlene Parton, Pastor Eric's wife. And she asks us questions about our goals, what our passions are. She's helping us rediscover our passions. But man, it's so good to be able to just give out. You've been a great help to me. Talk more about what you're going through. And I have a verse for you. Um, can I read it? Is all right?
Yeah. Yeah. Read it.
This verse reminds me of you because during those times we had a lot of talks, man. There was a lot of prayers for me. What did I do? I got counseling myself. We need counsel. Our soul needs counseling, man. And the word, we use the word to counsel our soul. I mean, that's what anchors our soul, is getting in the word, staying in the word. I mean, Kenneth Copeland is constant. I've been under his ministry for all these years. I knew better than this. I repented over the open door. I did. I mean, I opened the door to some of these things. I know it was the devil attacking me, hands down, but I opened the door for a lot of these things. I could have listened to the promptings of the Holy Spirit, and I could have paced myself. What we're trying to do right now to people listening, you either stop the problem before it becomes an emergency. That's what we have to do. You stop
Right.
before it becomes an emergency. You get a counselor, you get someone, and I'm not talking about flaky. I'm talking about a word counselor. Someone knows how to speak the word over you, not someone that's just going to be not speaking life over you. So this is what it said in 2 Timothy chapter 1. Paul's telling Timothy, may the Lord bless Onesiphorus and all his family, because he visited me and encouraged me often. His visits revived me like a breath of fresh air,
Wow.
and he was never ashamed of me being in jail. So here Paul is talking about one of his friends that came and visited him, and he said he was like a breath of fresh air. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. One of the changes I made during this is making sure that I've constantly got a breath of fresh air coming to me, that I'm constantly me and you bounce things off each other all the time. You'll call me up and say, Kevin, what do you think of this? Or I'll tell you, what do you think of this? Another translation says this: the Lord grant me mercy to the family Onesiphorus, because he often refreshed me and showed me kindness, comforting and reviving me like fresh air, and he was not ashamed of my chains. You've done this for me. You've been a breath of fresh air for me. Times where I didn't maybe feel like I was going to make it. Times when I was overloaded. One thing about you, Pastor DaVon, is this is what I love about you. You don't care. You are going to say what you feel. You are not a yes man. You are going to say, Kevin, I don't agree with you on this. That is you since the day I met you. I might say off the wall, and you don't sit back and go, You go, no, I disagree. And on home and disagree with one another in such the most loving way. But I'm telling you, you have been like that for me. You helped revive me. And that's when people break down, I'm not saying that something chemically could naturally be caused, but for me, I kind of know the inroad to where I arrived, some of the inroads. But the beautiful thing is grace.
Yeah.
That medicine set in my house, I was out there on the back porch trying to get everything naturally, like spiritually, just trying to receive by faith. And finally, I just felt the Lord was telling me, take the medicine. I took the medicine. And he told me, son, you won't have to take it forever.
Right.
I just said, okay, God. And I took it. And it was like 2 weeks into it, I got my first yawn.
Wow.
You may not know how that feels, but man, for someone that's been through what I've been through, they know what I'm talking about, to be in that anxiety mode. So I think that those pivotal things I did is I found my pace. I started doing a calendar. I do one every day. I have one at my kitchen table. I have a sheet of paper and I write down everything I got to do tomorrow, and I check it off. Like today, I checked off everything that I was going to do. So these are things that you're to gain your life, to get your life back. You got to do these things, man. You got to know how to say. You got to be balanced. You got to run that calendar. You may need a sabbatical, but then everyone needs a day of rest.
Yeah, I don't want to underestimate the word rest. I mean, I like to say this: one of the most spiritual things you can do is take a nap. A nap is a very spiritual act of trust and an act of confidence in God that, I got a lot on this calendar or I got a lot to accomplish, but I'm going to trust God. I'm going to lay down and I'm going to take a nap. It's so very important. I mean, and then you talk about chemical imbalances. I mean, people are dealing with cortisol issues and stress levels and high blood pressure and low blood pressure and hives and all types of things that are going on, especially over the last couple of years that we've gone through. I saw a meme the other day that said we're 2 months away from 2022, and I'm still trying to reconcile 2020. And I'm like, man, I feel the same way. And
Goodness.
so we got a lot going on, and we've all been through a lot. I like what Jesus said in Matthew chapter 11, I believe it's verse 28. He says, come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. I think what's important here is he tells you to come to him. He didn't say he's going to come to you. And that's so important. He said, you come to me. I'm not coming to you. You come to me. Okay. You're tired. You're heavy laden. You got a lot going on. You come to me. And in exchange for you coming to me, I will give you rest. And that means he's going to revive us. He's going to refresh us. And, in the presence of the Lord, obviously, there's fullness of joy in his presence. There's a lot of rest in his presence. I think we got to make time to just be in the presence of the Lord. There is no chemical imbalances. You know what I mean? If we make time to be in his presence, that doesn't mean we don't have issues. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying if we make it a priority to be in his presence and to be refreshed in his presence and revived and take time to rest, we can get some of those things that are out of balance into balance just by spending time with the Lord. And I think that's so very important. Before we wrap it up, Kevin, do you have any final thoughts for the people that are tuned in and the ones that will listen later on?
Yeah, I believe that for those that are trying to live a fast-paced life, Jesus, you said something about rest. He was sleeping in the middle of a storm. You know why he was sleeping? He wasn't worried about that. He wasn't worried about anything at that time. He was getting his sleep, and it was important to him. The water was filling the boat, and he's back there sleeping. And everybody else was flipping out. And this is the key, is resting means where you can't, you can't be working 3 jobs and think that your body's going to be able to do this. There has to be a cutoff where you do you and let the Lord work on the rest. And that is the resting part, is like, hey, I've been obedient today. Everything else is in God's hands. I'm not going to go out and do any more work today. Money can come. Blessings can come a million different directions. I want to encourage everyone, put a stop to this fast-paced life. Do the things that we talked about, outlined in today's talk, man. Put a stop to the schedule. Make sure in the schedule is you. You're important. You're valuable. Put your golf game in there. Put your nap in there. Put your family time in there, and make sure there's a shut-off time for work and all the things that are happening. And you would be so blessed to know how much the Lord can do with just us resting in him, saying, all right, God, you got this. And that's what my goal is like, hey, I worked today. There came a time I wasn't working anymore. I went to jiu-jitsu last night. I made time for me. That's my time. So that's my encouragement. And I'm praying for everyone. I think everyone's been through something similar to this. 2020 was tough, man. It was a tough year for everybody. And I've had to do this with my dad passing away. I've had to go, I give you everything. I give you everything. I can't sit around and worry and be grieving. I can't do that. I still got to be a husband. I still got things ahead of me. I still got a calling of God on my life. And I think when you put everything in perspective, and realize that everything is a process, a journey, it's been a part of my journey. I can help people with this. So
that's right. That's right. everything that you go through, you will get through, and it will be a testimony for someone else to encourage them. Tim says, "Here, I needed to hear those words. Thank you." And so, thank you, Tim, for joining us. And Jeannie says, "Timely words, so good." Thank you, Jeannie, for being a part of tonight's broadcast. I want to say this as well as we wrap up. One, I want you to know that we only have one you. That we don't have 20 U's. We only have one you. I remember a young lady hit a deer. She had just bought a car, and she crashed into a deer. Thank God, the car was totaled, but she was fine. The deer, obviously, he went on to deer heaven. But she was
Dear.
really sad. She was really sad about the car. And I remember I turned to
Yeah.
her and I said, "We can get another Honda Civic." And her name was Priscilla. I was like, "But we can't get any more Priscillas." And
Come
man,
on.
that touched her hard. She was like, "I never thought about that." And so
Uh,
you only have one you. You can get another job. You can get another car. You can get another house, but we can't get another you. So make sure that you and your schedule, your time is set aside. And I'm doing this as well, Kevin. I'm really prioritizing my time too, where at this time I am doing this. For example, I like to read, and I used to very feel like I was wasting time when I was reading something. Like, oh, I should be doing something. I shouldn't be sitting here reading. But now I schedule it in. I read from this amount of time to this amount of time, and I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing because I've scheduled in that time. I'm taking command of my schedule. And then you put in a nap in there, and you take command of your schedule and you put that nap in. Now, obviously, there could be variables and things that could throw it off, but you just make sure you maintain your schedule because we are living in a fast-paced life, especially with these darn cell phones that are keeping us so distracted. Did you know you can cut those things off? I don't know if people know that you can actually, it has an on and off button. Did you know that, Kevin? The cell
yeah.
phone, you can actually cut it off. I don't think you know that, but it can be
Yeah.
cut off.
That's why we go on cruises, man.
Oh gosh,
I
I'm ready
miss.
to go back on another cruise. But I tell you what, man, this has been so good. Thank you for sharing your story, your testimony. It
On.
took a lot of bravery to share your story, what you went through. A lot of people, especially pastors, don't want to tell that side of the story, but you had a lot on you, man, and it affected your body. You overcame it, and now you're going to help other people. I need everybody in the comments to tell Kevin thank you. Say thank you, Pastor Kevin. Put it in the comments right now. Thank you, Pastor Kevin. Some of you need to say, "I love you, Pastor Kevin," praying for you, Pastor Kevin, but give him some love. Fill the comments right now with love for Pastor Kevin. And it's Pastor Appreciation Month, man. So I want to say I appreciate everything you do
What?
for the body of Christ. I appreciate everything you do for your church. Jeannie right here says, "Thank you, Pastor Kevin." She's excited as well for what you do. Denise Wright says, "Thank you, Pastor
Hey,
Kevin."
her.
Huh?
That's my sister-in-law.
That's your sister-in-law. Oh, I see the right. Okay, the right there. Amanda says, "Thank you, PK. We love you. We
Oh,
appreciate you.
poor
Glory be to God." Kelly Sawyer says, "Thank you, Pastor Kevin. I know this was a blessing
God bless you,
to."
on.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
God
Go
bless
ahead.
you, man. God bless you. And I'm
Thank
blessed
you.
that you're a great pastor and you pastor me in so many ways, man. I love you.
Well, I love you too, my friend, and this has been the True Life Experience, our midweek boost with Pastor Kevin of Faith City Church. If you're in Florida, check it out, Titusville, Florida. I believe that's where the space shuttle takes off. But check him out, Faith City. I don't know the web address, but matter of fact, Kevin, what's your web address? Let people know your web address.
It's myfaithcity.org. My faith city.
myfaithcity.org.
Mhm.
myfaithcity.org. I love your name. I love the name Faith City. And so check him out, myfaithcity.org. And want you to know that I love you guys. True Life, those who join us from True Life, Faith City, thank you so much. True Life, I look forward to seeing you on Sunday. Got a good word for you Sunday. I put it in the crock pot. There you go. I put this word, Kevin, I put this word in the crock pot.
Come
It's
on.
it's simmering right now, right now. It's marinating. You're gonna want this word. You better come hungry. Don't be full off no TV. Don't be full off no Netflix. Come starving for a word because
Amen.
I'm gonna deliver it to you. And it's gonna be a 5-course meal, and you're gonna leave
Say that.
full.
Say that.
And so it's simmering right now. It's going to be so good. I would tell you what it is, but I just want you to come just expecting to hear a word from the Lord.
Mm.
We love you. If you want to check us out here, we're at truelifefc.org. Check us out. That's our website there as well. And I have written 2 books. One's called The True Life Experience. And the True Life Experience is a devotional, a 30-day devotional. Here it is right here. How to pursue God's plan and purpose for your life. So check that out there as well, DaVonAlexander.com/books. And my second book is This Is Why I Tithe. The Lord asked me to write this book, and it's the reason why I tithe. And I promise you that it will be different than what you've heard before. Kevin, did I ever tell you about the tithe book? The Lord told me to write it, and then a guy contacted me. And he said, "What are you working on?" I said, "Man, actually, I'm working on this tithing book." He said, "How much something like that cost?" I said, "Let me get back with you to get with the publisher, all that stuff." And I told him what it was, and the guy said, "The Lord told me to pay for it, man." He wrote a check, man, paid for the whole thing, and we
God.
was able to. Before I even finished the book, God already provided the money. Glory be to God. And so I
Yes.
knew I was supposed to write it, and so get your hands on that as well, DaVonAlexander.com. And as always, I love you. We exist so that you will experience true life. And what we talked about today will cause you to experience true life. We love you. God bless you. Watch this outro video.